Marines vs. Japos, Kura Bushido, Red all SSRs, and I started the scheme, coming up with the plan, when I noticed something. There's one demo to blow stuff away, and with a gleam in my eyes, I knew I found a way. This Japanese pilot in the Second World War wasn't sure how to use one, but he knew for sure that one demo felt good in his hand. It didn't take long to understand. Just one demo will beat the foe, but a one-way ticket for DC heroes. So he did a bonsai, no way he could drop, with his edgy matters. Those Yankee devils will be stopped by a DC hero. Upon he will die. He's a DC hero. He's got one demo. DC hero. Yankees will die. DC hero. He won't survive the fight. On a road without a name, out on Corregidor, there's a Sherman tank dozer stopped at XG4. Yeah, this day is his last. It's filled with lots of pain. That one demo is gonna win the game. So he started charging, saying enough. But if he gets wounded, getting to the target will be tough. For a DC hero, but he will die. He's a DC hero, but he will die. Yeah, DC hero, but he will die. That one demo, he's gonna win. Gonna win tonight.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
This is Jeff and Dave, and we are the Two Half Squads.
And this is the only podcast on the net dedicated 80% to the greatest game in the world.
Advanced Squad Leader, and it just keeps getting better.
It does indeed.
It's good to see you, Dave. I notice you've picked up a little accent
Did I?
from being in Kansas City.
Kansas City. They don't have much of an accent there.
No, but they do, but it's very distinctive and subtle.
Yes. That is.
And so that's great. And that's my hometown, Kansas City.
That's right. You were born there. No,
Born
you
in
were
Kansas City, Missouri. I was born on the Missouri side.
Okay.
And just like 40 years ago. So it's hard to remember.
Yeah, a little more than that.
So that's really cool that you went. I was very.
March Madness. Everybody missed you, Jeff, and wished you were there.
Yeah, I wish I was there too.
But they sent you that T-shirt. You got one of these.
Which I'm very grateful for. I've already worn it a few times and it's in the laundry.
That's it's the 2024 shirt.
Yeah.
With the Korean War back on that.
Yeah. Very cool.
I got a hat for doing something there. And
Yeah. What were you doing? Emptying the ashtrays or what?
um, was it because I was interviewing a certain person?
Clean up the beer cans afterwards,
I
sweeping.
don't remember, but this is the shirt you got when you registered.
Very nice. It's a very ASL color. Oh, that is nice.
And if
Look
we
at all
look
them.
closely,
Very
we'll
heroic looking.
see.
Are they all individually named? Oh, look at that.
Is it
Oh,
showing
that's
up?
fantastic. Well, I can't read the names, but they're
Yeah.
they're
Well,
there.
Kleinschmidt's right there.
Oh, very nice. Well, I'm going to have to start treating you with more respect, I guess.
You will now. And I noticed Burris is a 10 neg 3. He's won their tournament at least 3 times, maybe more, I
Oh,
think.
wow.
So
Fantastic.
yeah, so I can do a quick rundown of the trip and put some pictures up for YouTube here, and then maybe a few on the webpage. Well, this
Yeah.
will be posted March. No, it's already going to April 1st. So we skipped the show last month, March, to get caught up on our stuff, and we were falling behind. And yeah, so Laura and I drove down, and Friday spent the day at the World War I Museum. Again, that's a
Nice.
national. And so, if you recall, the people at the dedication were actually Foch, General, and Pershing, and some other famous guys there
They were actually there.
in the 1920s. Yeah, because Laura
Wow.
got a postcard and she said, "Yeah, look, it has these guys' names on it, the dedication." I thought that can't be because the monument's so clean, the upper part. I guess I'll have a picture here. It's the big, tall monument, and then those two Egyptian sphinxes, kind of with their
Yeah.
wings covering their eyes.
Yes. That
Yeah, yeah.
Here's my interpretation.
Yes, it's like that.
Am I taking you there? Yeah.
You are,
Yeah.
it's working. And so, yeah, that upper part looks so clean. And then that I couldn't believe it went back to the 20s, but it is that Art Deco style, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it
Yeah.
older. And then
Very
underneath,
cool.
and so then inside, again, it's like Cantini. We realize how good a museum Cantini is, much
Yeah.
smaller scale than this.
Mhm.
Get pictures. I'll put up the artillery guns, tank inside the place, the trench recreations, lots of artifacts, and lots of movies. It's inside of it's fairly state of the art, I would think. They had one crater section that just looked like you're inside a giant crater with a movie set up like 360 almost,
Yeah.
except for the doorway.
Now
Um,
you as a teacher, you have taught World War One, and you're something of an aficionado of World War One. Did you learn anything new while you were visiting?
uh, yes, small things like maybe some weapon types that I didn't realize were there,
Mm-hmm.
but most all of the video and explanations were all things that I understood
Yeah.
for the most part,
Yeah.
which I'm like, oh, go me. So
That's right. Yeah.
I could
I knew
explain
that.
them to
You
Laura.
turn to the people next to you, you elbow them. I knew this.
Yeah. And so then in the basement they had artifacts instead of in boxes placed on all these glass cabinets, all displayed thousands of artifacts. And she said there's more in boxes somewhere else too in the museum. So I guess Kansas City raised the most money to open that museum.
Oh, and that's why it ended up kind of why it ended up there
Yes.
of all places. Yeah, that's interesting because you had mentioned that the other day, and then on CBS Sunday Morning over the weekend they had a story about the new Dali Museum, which has just opened
Oh,
um, in Florida, the Salvador Dali Museum, and that was another case where like they were wondering we need a Dali museum somewhere, and now I can't remember the town in Florida, Jacksonville or something like that, just came up with the most money. And so they've got all the dollies there, and it's a brand new museum. I guess it just opened. There
oh,
was an older museum, and now this
okay.
they've redone.
Yeah,
Did
because
they
I
get-
was at the older one by Laura's dad's apartment when he was down there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it took
I
him.
guess it's
Oh, they
close by.
redid it all now, huh? Yeah,
We might have to go.
yeah. Because you're right. I was kind of thinking, why is the Dolly Museum in Florida?
Yeah,
You know.
they said we'll take it. So
So we
yeah,
did.
interesting. So yeah, anyway,
Uh,
good trip.
Sunday we worship. There's a guy there who was from our church here, and
Oh, okay.
moved out there and started a little church startup. So we visited with him, and then went into downtown, and hit the art museum there, which is a lot like our art museum or the Toledo. It's more like the Toledo Art Museum in size, but again, they have everything. The Impressionists are that represented there, and the Dutch masters. They had Turner, they had Remington, American painters and stuff like that.
And my favorite American painter.
Um, oh, Thomas Hart Benton.
Yes, my
Yeah,
absolute favorite American painter.
I'll put a painting up of his here.
Yeah. Yeah, how cool is that? Great stuff.
Yeah, so I'd highly recommend that museum also. About 3 hours there. And
Hmm.
then they have the steamboat museum. I think it was called the Arabia steamboat, and it went down in the Missouri River. And because of the shifting water, these guys who just got together, ordinary guys, they're like our age in the 80s. They look like we looked. They got together some money and dug the thing up, got permission from the farmer, and had to sledge out a bunch of liquidy, sledgy dirt. And they displayed thousands, tens of thousands, I think, of these artifacts. So I'll throw the picture up here.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
And they have the paddle wheel is a recreation, but the metal stuff running it is from the original steamship that went down in the river. So I think I'd recommend that. It's a little bit odd in that it's so much of stuff, like right out of the crates, like they're shipping it
Hmm.
out west.
Yeah,
Beads,
yeah,
sewing needles,
yeah.
uh, hot stove metal things, irons, like a dozen irons, whatever, stacks of hats, and they had a dehydrator to dehydrate a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good trip.
And so and the tournament itself, you were just there on Saturday, is that right?
Yeah, and snagged a ton of interviews we're gonna run, so
Excellent.
job will be easy. Yeah. Should we first interview up? We interviewed before Paul Works,
Hmm.
and first time we're gonna be interviewing Dan Best on this.
Okay.
Got a ton of interviews. Shall we let the madness begin?
Let's let the people speak for themselves. On we go.
Here we go.
All right. Hello, everybody. We have where am I at, gentlemen?
You're in Shawnee Mission, Kansas.
That's where I am.
At the March Madness 2025 tournament, squad leader tournament.
And this is a big moment for the two half squads to finally get off their rear ends and get out on the road to Kansas City. And I guess I probably have already talked about seeing the museum and everything on the intros to these shows. So we'll cut right to the chase. We have here Dan Best. He is first time appearance on the half squads.
Yes, that is correct.
That's right. And we have Paul Works making his third, perhaps, appearance on the two half squads. And so, Dan, can you tell us about your background?
So I'm a emergency manager, and I've been playing advanced squad leader and squad leader since 1982, since I was 13.
That's a long time.
And we've been running March Madness together for
Since 2006,
2006,
It's 2006.
playing together since
1998.
1998. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm Paul Works. I'm a DoD Army federal civilian. I work up at Fort Leavenworth. I have a horrible job doing wargaming for the Army. So anyway, I have a fun job, and but been playing squad leader since, I don't know, 80, about 86, 87, when I could actually afford to buy the modules and the rule book out of college. And had to choose between Starfleet battles and a squad leader, and chose squad leader. Although Starfleet's still pretty fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, we've been doing squad leader together, but had successful, a lot of many scenario packs,
Mhm.
and yeah, had a good time.
And so, yeah, all your scenario design work, has it just been with the March Madness? Is that where I've seen, you know, I see names everywhere and everyone's famous to me. And so,
Right.
For me, it's just been with the March Madness team, the design team of March Madness. Yeah, and we just broke a century of published scenarios, so this pack contains 6 scenarios and it goes to 102.
Yep. And we, although we had about 20 some in 3 packs before that weren't numbered, they were short print runs. So I designed we used to design some scenarios out in Los Angeles when I lived out in California for the tournaments in LA, the squad leader, part of the gaming convention there. And then hooked up with the Time on Target dudes, Mark Newcomb and Mike Reed and them. And did some scenarios for Time on Target that were published. And then some of the March Madness, the original Pusan Perimeter Pack scenarios got sucked into the Forgotten War module.
Yeah.
That got published by MNP.
Excellent. And then we reviewed a lot of those packs. Dave sent some complimentary, and I'm always been impressed with the variety of them and some of the special rules and things going on there. That make them unique and make them very interesting. So I'd highly recommend everybody get out. I think they're all still available on.
They're all available on Scenario Archive.
That's right.
You can go to Scenario Archive and download, purchase them. The out of print ones are available there.
Yeah.
And then we've got some limited ones in print. So, and we should get you a pack before you leave.
Except the Pusan Perimeter Pack and the movie pack, which were except for the Pusan Perimeter Pack and the movie pack, which were the early ones. The Pusan Perimeter ones now isn't forgotten. They're MMP products, but the movie pack, they were very customized. It was all about more movies.
Yeah, and they're ahistorical.
Right.
They're not historical scenarios.
Yeah, and I think I've played some the Saving
Kelly
Private
Rose,
Ryan.
Well, we have Kelly C. Rose, Bridge on the River Kwai, those things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's fun though. You know, you got to do that. How can you not? So tournament happening right now. We're on Saturday.
Round 3.
Round 3. 2 on Friday. 3 today.
2 today and 1 tomorrow.
Okay, 5. Yes, that's manageable. I like that. In the old days, there's someone. I think Chicago ran the 7 round. Didn't we 7 here too, right? One time.
No, we didn't. Never done a 7. The most we've ever had here is 36 people, and some of them are just Saturday only, where people come Saturday only and play mini tournaments.
The mini tourneys, right?
We have 2 mini tournaments going on. Hasmo mini and a ASL starter kit mini going on right now too.
Okay. And who's it?
Yep.
Who's winning those? Do you know
And so
they're in the round 1. It's
Oh,
2
right,
round,
Saturday
2 round,
Yeah,
Saturday only minis.
right.
Yep.
It's much more to me. 5 games is the most my brain could handle in 2 days, 3 days anyway. You know.
Yep.
right. Yep.
And we've never had more than 32 people enter the main tournament. And
Okay.
32, you can play 5 rounds and get a single single winner all rounds.
And then the scoring it was changed from the old single elimination.
Well, so we've gone back and forth. For a while, we were doing a scoring system similar to what Jim Burris does in the St. Louis one. Then for 2 or 3 years, we did just a straight bracket, single elimination structure. But now we've gone back to the scoring system. People seem to like it better. So that way you can actually lose a game and still actually end up winning the tournament if you beat any 5-0 person. So you're both or 4-0. You can still anyway. So it allows people to still be in it longer.
Yeah, and that's good. That's encouraging to have.
And then we have the minis to keep, like, people keep playing.
Yeah.
They get a smaller prize if they win those minis than the main tournament, but people like it. People
Yeah.
like it.
And what are the prizes this year?
So there's a BFP 6 Man Arms Cross and Sword and Fire Manila, and then Deluxe ASL is third place. And then we have a traveling trophy. It's got every winner's name on it all the way back to 2006.
Yes. Yeah, it's got names on all four sides.
Mm-hmm.
How much room is left on that?
Oh, plenty of room. I mean, for the
It's pretty big.
Yeah. And it's got a World War I tank on it.
Yes.
A World War I Mark IV. So British Mark IV, and male British Mark IV male.
That's right.
The 57 millimeter
Talk about that later.
guns. Yep. And so, for our World War I efforts.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would just tell people coming to Kansas City, the World War I museum was here, and in my ignorance, I didn't realize that was built in the 20s.
Yeah, it was a Union, right by Union Station. The memorial. It was actually a World War I national memorial for the soldiers that came back. And so the memorial has been there quite some time. The museum only opened, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, maybe something like that. But it's pretty slick.
Okay, the museum
Yeah.
portion.
Yeah.
National Museum. Yep.
Okay,
But the memorial with people's names on it and stuff, they've been there a long time.
Yes.
And it was there because Harry S. Truman was a veteran,
Right.
and he got a fairly active and large veterans association going in the area, and they raised funds and got a memorial built before the Great Depression hit.
Right. And Truman was from Independence, which is right east on the
Of
east side
Kansas
of Kansas
City.
City.
The Truman Presidential Library is there. So if you're coming out and you like history, you can go to the Truman Presidential Library and the World War I
And
Memorial.
the Eisenhower one's a couple hours down
Yeah.
the road, Abilene.
Okay.
And there's a riverboat museum, which is really cool too.
Is it? Okay. We didn't get in time yesterday, so we did the World War I and we took the trolley ride.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a modern
That's right.
trolley, people.
Yeah.
Don't expect a 1920s trolley. But it's cool and it's easy and it's clean
Mhm.
and good places to eat at in
Oh,
the
great,
train
yeah.
station downtown.
Mhm.
And when I was eating in the train station, I was looking at all the big windows.
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
do you know historically about that? Were those train entrances at any one time? Or
Yes.
because I'm thinking of our ASL games.
Yeah.
With tanks entering.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The train entrances are at the lower level, and there's still a train station there, an Amtrak
Down
train
under.
station
Okay,
there.
Yeah.
They're at the lower level, but they used to come in at the lower level, and then they'd come up, and that's sort of the plaza area of the train station.
Which is beautifully restored.
Yep,
Mhm.
and it's a Union station for Union Pacific built it, and
Yeah.
it's been restored.
They have traveling exhibits and stuff there. They've got like a science museum for kids and a planetarium and an IMAX thing, and then they have traveling exhibits that are really usually pretty good. They had the most recent King Tut. Not
Oh, yeah.
wasn't the real King Tut stuff, but it was replicas which were pretty fantastic too.
Oh.
But just rotation stuff.
And the
Pompeii stuff.
model train
Yeah, oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
there too,
mhm,
which
yep,
we missed.
absolutely.
We were late, but we could see it from the entrance area
Mhm.
and see some of it going still.
Yep.
And then we ate at down. There's a train station. There's an area that's converted to restaurants. The Jack's
You ate at Jack's?
BBQ. Yeah.
Jack Stack, and there's a lady. There's a German restaurant there called Grunauer's, which is delicious, not particularly expensive. And then
The
Lydia's, who's got a
Italian.
PBS Italian show on PBS. Her restaurant's there.
Yes, I think that wasn't open for lunch, maybe, but and then inside of the Jack Stack, is that the barbecue? Yeah, we were looking at, that's where we were seeing these windows also in the train area. And I texted my friend Dave Timonen and said, guess what I'm thinking of? Because we had just played the Festoon Budapest giant train station scenario where you could exit some Germans from the station. If they could exit north, the German could win. Otherwise, the Russian had to take most of the train station. And he was just closing in wonderfully. And then I saw that gap and I took squad and a half and started running down the railroad through the rail cars. And then he's like, what the heck? So I sent him this picture, like, guess what I'm thinking about? He's like, that stupid game where you ran like a girl away from the train station. So, but yeah, I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, tanks, I guess they could enter through those really large windows, or how all that was in the war. And I visited Budapest. I don't know if you heard me talk about it on the air, but that was really cool.
Yeah.
It's still
I'd love to
war
go there.
damaged. Yeah. A lot of war damage and stuff. So currently, tournament this week, we have how many guys in there? Yeah.
So there's 28 players, 14 games going at any one time. Today, some extra players showed up to play some starter kit tourney.
So 24 in the main tournament and 4 at starter kit.
Okay, great.
So pretty good show up.
Yep.
So not counting Dan and I.
Yeah, are you playing?
Just if we have an odd number that somebody had to leave or something, one of us plays.
Yeah, okay. I have to fill in. Do you have to adjudicate games? Or?
This well, not this year so far, but normally there's usually on Saturday, one of the rounds is a little bit longer, and some players are faster than others and whatnot. So we'll usually have to adjudicate maybe 1 game, 2 games. But none yesterday.
Plus, we sort of end the first round on Saturday early at 4:00 and do the raffle.
Okay,
And that shortens it down the first round a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
And then what will people do tonight? If I might go home before dark, but
they'll be around after. So there's a round that starts this morning at 9, and then there's one that starts at 5 or 5:30 p.m. tonight.
Oh, that's the 2.
Yep.
Oh, so there's a whole wide gap to interview people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I'm used to trying to cram them in between.
Well, we used to have 3 on Saturday, and that was
Yeah.
just too much.
because we used to have 1 on Friday,
Yeah.
3 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday, and it was just too much. It wore
it
folks
was
out.
too-
So we went to
Yeah.
2 and 2 and
We'd have
1.
people up
Yeah.
at 2:00 in the morning on Saturday, 3:00, and then coming in at 9 the next morning.
And they're not that big of games, but I guess when
No,
you're-
well, we have been conscious about making sure we don't
yeah,
kill people.
yeah.
Although Dan tried to put Fort McGregor in, and
That was the all-day mini.
That one was from Desert? No,
yeah,
Yep, it's an all-day mini. We like to some of the minis we like to offer are all day. Last year it was Hill 621
Yeah.
and the Tractor Works,
Okay.
and you could play not the Tractor Works, but Streets of Stalingrad. You could play it all day, and so rather than play 2 rounds, you just play that one
Yeah.
scenario
And you get
all day.
and whoever wins it gets slightly different, slightly bigger prize or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool too. They have the opportunity to do that, you
Mhm.
know, when you're out.
We really like how Rick Reinish and the Texas guys, Austin guys do the Frosty Fest. So that's kind of our mini version of Frosty Fest, which is where everybody wants to play the Frosty Fest. It's one biggish scenario, and you are competing not only against your opponent but all the other players on that play that side.
Oh,
all the other
right,
Germans,
right.
So there's a scoring system. So it's
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. So then what's the pack this year?
The pack this year is 6 tournament size scenarios.
Oh.
So we've been, really working through the 10th Mountain Division pack, had some big meaty scenarios in a campaign game. And then last year's pack, which was Korean War, had some very technical rules and long scenarios. And so we've been working our play testers hard, and we wanted to cut them a break and gave them some tournament size scenarios. So I put out the limitations. Each side has to have less than 10 squads and less than 3 vehicles. And it has to be less than 7 turns.
So it's not exactly every scenario is not exactly, but it's close.
Close, yeah. And I limited them to 2 boards, so it's not a lot of terrain to cover, and can be played in the time zone it is. So
I blame the 10th Mountain guys and the Chinese Communist Army for attacking at night all the time.
Yep.
There were a lot of night games in the Korea. Yeah.
Yep.
Luckily, my friend Dave Timonen will play them all.
That's good. Yeah.
So
And thus I picked my favorite scenario from west of Alamein, which is a night desert scenario for the all-day mini,
yeah,
Fort McGregor.
I kind of remember playing that one.
That's a heavy
that was
duty
when
one.
it first came out. I
Mhm.
played it.
Yeah, it's got that barbed wire perimeter, and the bombardment knocks out a lot of the barbed wire. And
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a fort.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Mhm.
Got me reminiscing.
You can get the 57X. Well, not at night, but those desert ones are fun because you can have a 50X shot where you get into the max range of the weapons.
Yeah.
And the lower diameter and lower caliber weapons have a hard time hitting at that range.
Yeah. And Rich Spilkey had gone through and made up some kind of chart or notes where he knew what each tank at which range had the L gun.
Oh, is that right? Yeah,
versus
yeah, yeah.
where you got that +1 advantage, and
Yeah.
you just where to stop. And I'm like, dang, you're good at this. 'Cause I just drive and then stop and start shooting. He's like, yeah, you're 2 hexes too close, Dave. If you stayed back 2 hexes, your gun versus this gun. Well, you learn.
Yeah.
So
Would have had the advantage.
yeah. And then I guess future coming up.
So we're taking next year off on making a pack. So we're going to discount the tournament fee and not have a pack next year. And we're going to try to work on World War One over the next couple of years,
Okay.
and get some scenarios going for World War One and try to get that out and published.
Which,
I'm
as
sure,
you know,
Paul,
we've
we've
been-
talked about
yeah.
it on the air, but my memory is just that, oh, this is going to be cool. That's all I kind of remember.
Well, we've been working on, our original plan was to get it out in 2014, the 100th anniversary. Then it was to 2018. And then it was whenever we can get around to not working and doing other things.
That's probably a
Yeah.
more realistic deadline when we.
Yeah, so
get
we
around.
have the rules, a pretty good set of rules, very good, I think. Extensive research. The German chapter H, essentially, the British chapter H, the French chapter H, the American chapter H, and the Austro-Hungarian chapter H,
And the Russians.
and the Russian. So the Ottomans, I'm
Wow.
still working on the
Yeah.
Serbians a little bit, but we have quite a few pages of that information as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Trench stuff would be similar to what we have.
Yes, for communication trenches. That we also have deep trenches, which work like gullies with a firing step, and you have to get into position to shoot from them. So you can get into crest status in them.
Yeah.
And then if you're down in the trench, it's got higher pluses, +3 against infantry fire and +5 against artillery.
And there's bunkers, there's subterranean bunkers,
Dugouts.
stuff like that.
Could you have like a scenario where it's just all in the trenches?
Yeah,
Kinda
could have,
like
yeah.
that sewer. Remember that sewer game?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Subterranean quarry.
Man,
We could have that.
I know people badmouth that. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. It's actually our initiation scenario in our club
Oh,
because the Romanians attacker have such advantage. We always make the new player be the attacker and
Okay. Oh.
and the veteran player be the partisan, and they have to challenge a veteran player to that scenario. And
yeah,
so I've played it a good dozen times.
yeah.
So
And then, so I'll be all in for the trench ones.
Yep.
So you kind of limit them to staying in the trenches.
well, yeah, and
The
it
bunker
works to their
areas.
advantage to get into the trench, but then once you get into the trench, you're almost getting into close combat right away.
There's craters, like underground explosion craters or supermassive artillery craters.
Yeah, like the big ones.
Yeah, big gigantic ones. Yeah. Mhm.
It's almost like a different playing area, maybe.
Yeah,
with
almost,
several
yeah,
hexes in
deep
it.
things. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
And then mud.
Mud.
oh yeah,
We use regular mud rules, but it really slows down the infantry.
oh yeah.
Yep. And we've got very interesting nationality distinction, kind of like current squad leader has for World War II nationality distinctions. There's some interesting ones for World War One.
Most squads are 3 firepower because they didn't have an inherent light machine gun,
No,
and then
right.
bolt action rifles. And then we have some platoon maneuvering. So you
So it'd be
maneuver by
platoon
platoon
movement. Yeah.
early in the war.
Yep. And so we have it's phased by nationality, by time period, in the 4.5 years of the 4 years of the war, where you go essentially from kind of structured, almost human wave-ish looking stuff to essentially World War II squad level action. At the end of the war, that's what the Germans and the Brits and French, some of the French were doing, but essentially it was World War II squad
Yeah.
maneuver.
like when they had the stormtroopers at the end.
That's right.
Germans?
That's right.
Germans started introducing those in 1916, and the British went to their 1917 model of fighting,
Mhm.
and it was squad based.
Okay.
Yep. And they, in fact, the Germans almost broke through there at the end. They made that one last push. And if the Americans, I mean, I truly believe the French won that war because they took the brunt of the fight. But if it hadn't been for the Americans being there when the Germans broke through in the 17, 18, the French it would have been a bad time.
They might have made it to
Yeah, they might
Paris.
have. Yeah, they
and,
might have.
Right. That's
Yep.
So I was trying to teach Laura a little as we went through the museum and finding out it was mostly accurate according to the next parts of the museum. You know, like they had this section on America getting into the war, and yeah, I missed one part of it, but I had a pretty good grasp of it. Jumping to the museum. I thought they were missing, and I guess I don't have to tell you this, but I should let them know, a music section, because they have the propaganda poster section, and there should have been, I thought, a music section, because I played songs of the day at school,
Right.
Mhm.
and just to have the kids hearing this as they walk in, they're hearing something different.
Yeah, that's
to
good. Good
feel.
point. I think they have some booths you can go in and listen to tapes and stuff.
Newsreel tapes and
Yeah,
such.
people's narratives or veterans' narratives. And
Yeah,
stuff.
but not like a little room where as you pass through it, they're talking
Yeah.
about the effect,
Yeah.
how it's used as propaganda also.
Well,
or-
cinema.
Maybe I should, yeah.
Suggestion.
But it was just amazing, yeah. Yeah, World War II idea sounds very cool. So I'm also imagining cavalry charges with the guys with the feathers on their
There's
hats.
cavalry charges. There's the French Elan and
Yeah, that's
know,
right.
leaders leading from the front. And the
Yeah, they
whole
introduced
nine.
grenades in 1915.
Yeah, so the
Most
Wow.
units didn't start with
That's
grenades in 14,
That's
so
right.
we
Let alone
kind of
rifle
have some
grenades.
rules about that.
Mhm.
And then the helmets also. They introduced helmets
Right.
about 1916, and before that, you're a little more susceptible to explosive artillery attacks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's designed to protect the head. I
Right.
guess, obviously, and it's a lot of shrapnel, and that's the highest portion often,
That's right.
Is that? And then do you have a rule for the spiked German helmet that they can ram people?
No, but we'll think about adding it.
Yeah. Can I always give them -1 in hand-to-hand CC?
Right.
Oh yeah. So the hand grenades, ASL is that just part of the double firepower?
Yes,
or
that's
anything?
correct. That's right. And then in your own hex, it's part of the triple firepower. So as an example, it's only 1.5 and I think doubled in World War I until they get grenades.
Yeah. Okay.
And they had of course, grenade launchers were invented in World War One from rifles,
Oh, I
we have
rifle
those.
grenade
That's
launchers.
right. I saw them at the museum, and I was not familiar with that, or didn't remember if I ever read it anywhere. And I haven't read that much on World War One.
So we have some rules about that. And then they used to have, like the British called them bombing parties, where they would literally go out with boxes of grenade and throw them at everything they could think of. And Germans would retaliate with bags of grenades and throw them back at you. And so they would go out, a single soldier would, or groups of soldiers would go out and just have nothing but grenades and throw them at each
Those
other all night.
grenadiers,
A
Which
grenadier.
we
That's what I'm
introduced in,
thinking. Like, yeah,
Forgotten War.
yes, in Forgotten War.
And so we've got some rules about grenade supply. And if you've got a good supply of grenades, you get pluses on things. And
We have gas.
gas
Oh,
Oh,
grenades.
geez, how did I forget about that?
Yep, there's
Artillery
gas.
gas. Then
We have
too,
artillery gas, and there are some rules for canister gas, but I mean, probably wouldn't use it very often. We just put it in there just for complete. It's like bombardment. You don't often use a bombardment.
Yeah,
Every once in a
4
while.
times
Yeah,
I've done it.
right. Yeah, right. How many years? Right.
And it's trying to make myself play everything. So, you know, I'm
Yep.
sure with
Yeah.
the plethora of new things, there's got to be more bombardments out there. But yeah,
Yeah. So there's different kinds of gas. There's chlorine, mustard, CS,
what's the CS?
tear gas.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And then of course tanks and armored cars show up.
New,
They start
yeah.
showing up. Yeah.
Yep. And you got
They
before
break down-
units knew how to do armored assault, and then after units were
Right,
trained to do
yeah.
The
armored
tanks
assault.
don't move most of the
Right.
tanks don't move very fast.
And the history of that wasn't that like the first battle they did well because they just freaked the Germans out,
Yeah.
and then weren't there battles where they were But they didn't know about like the Schwerpunkt or the army massing them together, and they kind of spread them out. Or that
Yeah,
wasn't
and then
as
the
effective, or-
Germans quickly figured out if they concentrated on the infantry would go to ground, and then the tank would get ahead of the infantry, and then they could
Mhm.
isolate it and destroy it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right.
they had to train the troops to stay with the tank and use it as cover and an armored assault.
Mhm.
Right. How effective do you think, just historically, tanks were to the whole winning of the war?
Oh, just not significantly.
Okay, that's what I taught when I was teaching it, because that was the best I could find.
Yeah. Yeah, not significant.
Yeah, you think, oh wow, this is going to win the war. Well, it's millions of people when it's just vast. And
No, it was just it. I mean, some of the trends were more important that were like command control, this whole squad kind of platoon structure, excuse me, and then the increasing firepower of the small units.
yeah,
So at the beginning, a company would have X amount of firepower, and by the end of the war, maybe a platoon would have the same firepower that a whole company.
Wow,
And a company
yeah.
was 200 men generally, sort of at the beginning of the war. So it just dramatically increased because they carry these lighter machine guns, introduced light machine guns, Bren gun and Kausho, which wasn't great, but the Germans had a light machine gun and the bar, the AR,
Yeah.
and so the squads just got tremendous more firepower.
And the Germans, even with the in the last year of the war, introduced the submachine gun.
Right, that's right, they did.
And so before that, they would use semi-automatic pistols with large clips and a shoulder butt. And,
okay, yeah.
But they finally incorporated it all into a submachine gun, a 9mm submachine.
So I've got,
didn't know that. Yeah.
I've got probably 100, at least 100 books on different nationality things, and some I've had to dig up German language only books and just very detailed things. To the example, I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
A munitions book that I got from that describes the British production of different types of munitions by artillery caliber or artillery piece over time during the war. So I could kind of get a sense of depletion numbers, stuff like that.
Wow.
So yeah, so little, and I had to get that for all the nationalities or what I could find. So very detailed sets of documents. And I have access to the Combined Arms Research Library, which is on Fort Leavenworth, right by the Command General Staff College. And they have it's a really good military history library.
Yeah. Yeah.
A big change during the war, of course, was in planes too. Initially they were unarmed, then they started developing armament, and then they started attacking each other, and then they developed better armament to attack ground targets.
Yeah. I think in an old time life book, and I don't know how historically accurate I assumed, they talked about the pilots would even like salute each other, like, hey, fellow knight of the air,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
go by, hey, German guy, hey, British guy, we're at planes, and then like someone pulled up a rifle and shot at somebody or something.
Yeah, somebody brought their
That's just
sidearm,
pure D
Is that
rude.
right?
started shooting at each other
Pure
with
D
pistols.
rude.
Yep.
And changed world history forever.
Yeah, and then
That
for
one-
ground attack, somebody started bringing a box of grenades and throwing grenades at
Yeah,
them.
and these flechettes or flechettes or
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
those
then they
things,
started
yeah,
developing
is
bombs
that like a jart?
and targeting
Yeah, that
systems.
was,
Yep.
Getting a big jart in your head.
Mhm.
I know they banned jarts. So
But yeah, it's amazing how at the start of the thing, planes were not even armed, and by the end of it, they were a primary
Mhm.
attack weapon.
yeah, with the machine gun that could shoot through the propeller because of that thing.
Well, yeah, like somebody learned that pretty quick.
right,
didn't
it
they?
actually happened the wrong way.
Well, yeah.
I
that'd
think,
be-
right?
I don't think it took very long to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah, could have been a test flight, maybe. Yeah, it is great. I'm looking forward to it. And I need to go back and read more about the World War One. And the museum is fantastic again. So getting this published,
Mhm.
how would that happen? Through
Well, Go ahead, you can go.
So we're going to publish the rules on our webpage so everybody can have access to them.
oh,
And then most importantly, we can update them because we anticipate there'll be a lot of updates.
Okay.
And
We'll be
then-
patient.
Yeah, and so then everybody can download them and updated versions. There, as we go along, and then all we need to do is publish scenarios and counters for each nationality, and we'll start with the British and the Germans,
Okay.
and then we'll go to other nationalities and
Go to
add
the
them
French
in.
next, I think.
The interesting thing is the East Front, and especially in the Middle East, had lots of mobile campaigns, whereas it was pretty landlocked and deadlocked on the West Front. So it'll be strongly infantry on the West Front, and then on the others, cavalry and mobility will be in play.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and I thought the museum also was a little weak on the global conflict.
Oh, sure.
It
Yeah.
had a mention, but even I had to read, kids would ask, like, why is it World War I? And I go, that really is a good question, because I'm Eurocentric. I'm guilty of being Eurocentric. And then I would take articles from military history on World War I about here's his naval battle in Africa.
Right.
It was 2 little British gunships against German.
Oh, yeah.
Yacht
And
with
like
guns and-
Victoria, like
Yeah,
Tanganyika.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
a couple of them like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
we're
you're like-
going to have and I'm glad you mentioned that, because we're going to have a pack that shows that stuff. And we're going to have
Oh,
a
nice.
East Africa pack.
Yep. There's a
that
lot of
shows
combat
that-
in East
yeah,
Africa.
It's got German Ascaris. and the whole
Infantry,
nine.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Infantry and artillery.
And
And those crazy gunboats.
Yep.
small sizes though.
Small sizes.
There
yeah.
it was. They actually were more small unit because they had to go through that elephant grass and jungle and whatnot.
Yeah, and it would break up maneuver.
Big formations.
If you try to maneuver in large groups, it would break them up as they went through
Mhm.
those acacia trees and everything else.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of fun scenarios that we think we can get from down there.
Oh yeah, I am sure.
And Cameroon, I mean, there were some part of the whole World War part of it is that's where the Germans lost all most of their overseas possessions, right? Because of the British and the French and the
And even the Japanese
Belgians
took over their Pacific Island
right. So
possession.
Yeah.
they paid the price there, and but there were campaigns, on both sides of Africa
Yeah.
and South Africa, or a little bit of South Africa right before the Boer War. Could even expand it into the Boer War if we so thought.
And there was commerce raiding, and of course, submarine warfare started.
Well, I mean, we're not doing that. Right?
Yeah,
But
that's not us.
ASL submarine warfare. No.
Yeah, I still haven't played the Lefranctor
Gunboats.
Dieppe. Is that the one? Or, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's got all the ships with
Yeah.
all the cool.
Yeah.
you know.
I've got the module. I just haven't.
Yeah, I almost put it on eBay, and then I'm like, oh, what the heck? I don't know what.
You may want to
I
ram
just-
a boat in there one day.
Yeah, and I just keep thinking about leaving this earth, and what my wife's on me like, are you gonna leave me all this crap, to deal with? And you're like, yeah, I don't know. So I have this funny thing where I want to wear out all my T-shirts. I want to wear them all out before I leave the earth, and it's really hard because they don't wear out that much, I mean,
No, it takes a
and then,
while.
and then you always end up getting a new one, and you're like, I don't really want a T-shirt, but I really want this cool orange T-shirt
We talk
that
about
Dan is
right.
modeling for us today.
we talk a lot about that with counters. It's like,
Yeah,
I mean, the
that too.
BFP guys, I love what they do. It's like, but if they put 800-900 counters in every one of their packs, it's like, okay, well, soon my Plano boxes are going to be,
Yeah,
but that's fun for them too.
and we kind of enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Well, and I get it because like Ponyarny came out and everybody was complaining that it has 8 counter sheets or something, but you're selling Ponyarny, you want to make it so that a person only needs a copy of Beyond Valor and Ponyarny. They don't need
Right.
they don't need any other modules
Yeah.
to play
Right.
that
Yeah.
play that pack
Mhm.
Right.
and that hassle. And so you got to put the counters in to do that.
that makes sense, and in a way that kind of saves people money too.
Yeah.
And-
You want to make it so that if somebody's really interested in that battle, all
Right.
they got to do is get Beyond Valor, the rule book, and that module.
Hey, you know what? You got to do something when you're retired.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, that too. It helps me keep the show going.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've gotten over the idea that I have to punch everything right away and
Yeah,
put it in
right, yeah.
cases, right? Yeah, because you're like, wait, more wire counters? Wait,
Yeah.
do I need to punch these? And then
they won't fit in my container.
That's right,
Am
yeah.
I redoing all of that?
Then if you clip it, you get a strong grip.
We're guilty of not clipping.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, anyway, that just sounds fantastic. I like the idea of releasing that by nationality, like our first system with
Mhm.
Beyond Valor. I was originally imagining some mega game that's
No, we can't. We
$300.
just can't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, kick it out like that. Let people get into it.
Well,
and
yeah, we
build
want to
on
do
it.
babies, not baby steps, but
Yeah,
crawl, walk, run.
Oh, yeah, module approach.
yeah. I think that's going to be the right way.
And, that's one of the reasons we decided to post the rules where everybody can get at them. Because once again, they're going to change. We're going to we're going to get it play tested and put out the Germans and the Brits, and then we're going to be working on the French, and some rules going to need to change, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So we
I
wanted
mean,
a
we have
live
done
set of
quite a
rules.
few play tests. Yeah, we do want, user feedback. So a tenet of almost all my things, including at work, is, hey, if someone sees something where it's jacked up, messed up, please tell me and how we can fix it. If you're just going to complain about it, I'm not sure I want to listen to it.
Yeah.
If you want to tell me how to fix it, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
constructive
Yes.
criticism.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
And so we'll be rolling into that over the next couple of years and getting
Back
that out,
into it.
and then we'll pick up doing packs again, because we've got some scenarios to do, and
We probably have 20. I have on my computer 20 half finished scenarios that are in the queue, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, fantastic. Well, should probably get you back inside the tournament. It seems to be running okay without you. Not that you're not important, but
I don't hear any chairs being thrown
I
yet.
think
and there's no
Burris is-
smoke yet. So
Yeah, fire alarm hasn't gone off.
No.
Or anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, hey, we really appreciate you guys
Okay.
doing this.
Oh,
It's
no,
awesome to listen
thanks
to
for coming
guys.
out.
It's just
Yeah.
an honor to be here. So, yep. Thanks again. And if
Yep.
you think of something later, we'll be here for the day.
All right,
All right.
great.
All right.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. There you
Wow.
go.
That is cool. That is cool. I actually didn't really know they were that far along and doing that much with that upcoming game.
The World War One stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think I'm realizing why they have the World War One tank is their logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the World War One museum is there, and then they're going to have such a fantastic advanced squad leader game designed for the World War One.
It's fantastic. It's been a long time coming and a big, I bet a big crowd. I bet it's going to do really well.
So when you break out of the World War II thing, it's taking a little bit of a risk, but I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, call it a show then.
I will tell. Yeah, that was great. Thank you for all your great work, Dave.
I was trying to remember, what would Jeff ask? Jeff would ask good questions. I have to think
Oh,
Jeff would ask. But yeah, good stuff.
next time I'll go with you.
Yep, we'll just keep running them along and
Yeah.
we'll sign
Okay.
up then with
All right. We'll see you all next time, and send us some letters. Drop us a line. And until then, remember to roll low,
and rally well.
but not when you're playing us.
us.
That's
All
right.
right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. See you, Dave.